When was the last time you heard anyone talk about Ducati with the energy the brand used to create? Almost never. And that says everything. There was a time when this name dominated motorcycle culture. A small Italian workshop made its way onto racetracks worldwide, into garage dreams, and onto every enthusiast's wish list. For decades, Ducati felt like a guarantee. If you wanted performance, you bought Italian. The momentum was real, and the brand rode it all the way to global recognition. But momentum only lasts if reliability does not become your enemy. Racing failures mounted. Maintenance costs spiraled. The premium identity that once made Ducati so desirable slowly turned into a limitation. The name stayed familiar, but the influence faded. So today's question is simple. How did Ducati rise this fast? And what pushed it into a slow but undeniable downfall? To understand the collapse, you need to understand the empire. Ducati's story begins not with motorcycles, but with precision electronics. In 1926, brothers Adriano and Marcello Ducati founded a small radio component company in Bologna, Italy. Their reputation was not built on two wheels, but on engineering excellence, creating condensers, radio components, and optical devices with remarkable precision for the era. The transition to motorcycles only came after World War II devastated their original factory. In 1946, facing Italy's desperate need for affordable transportation during post-war reconstruction, Ducati pivoted to producing the Cucciolo, which means puppy in Italian. The Cucciolo was a small auxiliary motor that could be attached to bicycles. This 48 cubic centimeter engine, producing just 1.5 horsepower, seems laughably underpowered today. But it represented something revolutionary. Ducati's first step into motorcycle production. What truly set Ducati apart emerged a decade later with the introduction of the desmodromic valve system in 1956. Where conventional engines use springs to close valves, Ducati's desmodromic system used mechanical means, cams and levers, to both open and close valves with absolute precision. This eliminated the possibility of valve float at high engine speeds when springs could not react fast enough. It was engineering artistry that became Ducati's signature technology, one that still defines their engines today. The racing DNA that would come to dominate Ducati's identity formed in these early years. While Japanese manufacturers focused on reliability and mass production, Ducati carved its niche on racetracks. Early victories at the Isle of Man Tourist Trophy and international competitions established Ducati as the Italian alternative to British and German racing dominance. Each win reinforced a simple narrative. Italian engineering could overcome larger competitors through innovation rather than scale. By the 1970s, Ducati had transformed from a struggling post-war manufacturer into a cultural icon representing Italian engineering excellence. The company embodied precision, performance, and passion in a way that attracted enthusiasts worldwide. Models like the 750 Supersport and 900 SS became instant classics, motorcycles that were not just transportation, but expressions of mechanical art. Ducati was not selling motorcycles. They were selling the dream of Italian excellence on two wheels. By the 1990s, Ducati faced a problem that traditional engineering could not solve. The marketplace was changing fundamentally, and Ducati's position in it revealed concerning truths about their business model. The market share reality was brutal. Ducati controlled less than 2% of global motorcycle sales, while Japanese manufacturers, Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, and Kawasaki, dominated with over 70% combined market share. This was not just a gap, it was a chasm that exposed fundamental limitations in Ducati's approach to motorcycle manufacturing. Production numbers told the story even more clearly. Ducati's annual production hovered around 40,000 units, compared to Honda's staggering output of over 10 million motorcycles. That massive scale disadvantage created cascading effects throughout their business, from component sourcing to dealer support. Ducati simply could not achieve the economies of scale that allowed Japanese manufacturers to deliver consistent quality at competitive prices. More concerning was the growing reliability reputation problem. Customer complaints about electrical failures, oil leaks, and mechanical breakdowns began surfacing with increasing frequency in motorcycle forums and magazines. What had once been dismissed as Italian character was increasingly viewed as unacceptable quality control. Owners found themselves explaining problems that Japanese bike owners never experienced. The maintenance cost crisis amplified these concerns. Routine services on Ducatis often cost between $1,500 and $2,000, compared to $300 to $500 for Japanese competitors. The desmodromic valve system that defined Ducati's engineering philosophy required specialized tools, specialized training, and frequent adjustment intervals. Belts needed replacement every 2 years, regardless of mileage. The complex dry clutches demanded regular attention. What began as a premium purchase quickly became a financial burden that priced out potential customers. Meanwhile, Japanese efficiency was redefining customer expectations. Competitors offered superior reliability, lower maintenance costs, and broader dealer networks while constantly improving performance. Honda's legendary CB models, Yamaha's R-Series sport bikes, and Kawasaki's Ninja lineup delivered 95% of Ducati's performance, with twice the reliability at 3/4 the price. The value equation was shifting dramatically, leaving Ducati increasingly isolated as an expensive, high-maintenance alternative. The 1990s market presented Ducati with an existential question. Could Italian passion survive in a marketplace increasingly defined by Japanese dependability? Could handcrafted character compete against mass-produced consistency? The answer would require fundamental strategic decisions. Faced with this market reality, Ducati made a pivotal strategic decision. Rather than chase Japanese manufacturers on reliability and value, they decided to double down on racing as their ultimate marketing strategy. The MotoGP investment logic seemed sound. Ducati committed $50 million annually to MotoGP racing, an enormous sum for a company their size, believing track victories would justify premium pricing and attract customers willing to pay for racing pedigree. Company leaders calculated that wins on Sunday would translate directly to sales on Monday, creating a halo effect that would elevate the entire brand above reliability concerns. This drove their engineering focus toward developing cutting-edge racing technology, carbon fiber frames, advanced electronics, and exotic materials, rather than improving basic reliability for street motorcycles. Resources that could have addressed quality control issues instead funded wind tunnel testing and prototype development. The engineering department became focused on milliseconds gained on racetracks, rather than thousands of miles of trouble-free street riding. This racing focus aligned with Ducati's premium positioning decision. They would compete against Harley-Davidson and BMW in the luxury segment, rather than challenge Japanese manufacturers on volume and value. Ducati motorcycles would command premium prices justified by exclusivity, craftsmanship, and racing heritage, more European luxury good than reliable transportation. The philosophy of taking racing technology to the road became central to their marketing. The mantra "win on Sunday, sell on Monday" guided product development, with technologies developed for racing supposedly filtering down to production motorcycles. Every advertising campaign highlighted racing success while minimizing discussion of ownership costs or reliability metrics. The message was clear: you are buying a piece of racing history, not just a motorcycle. Brand differentiation completed the strategy. Ducati positioned itself as the emotional, passionate alternative to Japanese efficiency. Their motorcycles were presented as art versus appliance, handcrafted Italian masterpieces compared to mass-produced Japanese products. This framing attempted to turn Ducati's limitations, lower production volumes, higher costs, and maintenance demands, into virtues representing authenticity and character. The strategy represented a clear choice. Ducati would excel at racing, emphasize heritage and exclusivity, and charge premium prices, rather than address the fundamental reliability and maintenance issues that limited their market appeal. It was a high-risk approach that would have profound consequences. The racing strategy delivered exactly what Ducati promised and revealed exactly what they had ignored. The execution phase demonstrated both the brilliance and fundamental flaws in their approach. Track dominance came swiftly. Carl Fogarty's 4 World Superbike Championships in 1994, 1995, 1998, and 1999 established Ducati as a racing powerhouse. Later MotoGP victories with Casey Stoner in 2007 and the development of iconic models like the 916 created legitimate racing credibility that competitors could not match. Ducati proved their engineering prowess could overcome resource disadvantages on the racetrack. This racing success generated massive marketing advantages. Victories translated into media coverage, magazine features, and brand awareness that advertising budgets could not buy. The distinctive sound of Ducati's L-twin engines, the elegant designs of their superbikes, and the passion of their racing team created an aspirational image that appealed to enthusiasts worldwide. In many ways, this aspect of the strategy worked brilliantly. But the showroom disconnect became increasingly apparent. Customers attracted by racing success discovered street bikes that required extensive maintenance, frequent repairs, and specialized knowledge just to keep running. The same desmodromic valve system that performed flawlessly under the care of factory technicians became a liability for average owners. Electrical systems that functioned perfectly in controlled racing environments proved unreliable on daily commutes. The gap between racing image and ownership reality widened. The limited dealer network amplified these problems. Customers often traveled hundreds of miles for routine maintenance, creating ownership frustration that Japanese bike owners never experienced. Many cities had multiple Honda, Yamaha, or Kawasaki dealerships, but not a single Ducati service center. Finding qualified technicians became a major challenge, especially in smaller markets. The ownership experience simply did not match the premium price point. Quality control failures further undermined the strategy. Rushed production to meet demand resulted in inconsistent build quality, electrical problems, and premature component failures. Models like the early Monster series and the first-generation Multistrada developed notorious reputations for reliability issues. What racing fans saw on television, meticulously prepared machines maintained by factory teams, bore little resemblance to what customers experienced in dealerships. The execution revealed a fundamental truth. Racing success did not automatically translate to street bike reliability. The engineering requirements were fundamentally different. Race bikes were maintained by professionals, rebuilt frequently, and operated within specific parameters. Street bikes needed to function reliably through various conditions, temperatures, and maintenance schedules. Ducati had excelled at the former while neglecting the latter. Over the next decade, the racing success strategy revealed its fundamental flaw. The consequences would reshape Ducati's market position and financial stability. The customer exodus became impossible to ignore. Online forums filled with Ducati horror stories, with accounts of expensive repairs, unreliable performance, and ownership regret that drove away potential buyers. Longtime enthusiasts began jumping ship to BMW, Triumph, and even Japanese manufacturers. The psychological damage was severe. Ducati became known as a brand you admired from a distance, but hesitated to actually own. This reputation damaged resale values significantly. Used Ducatis lost 60 to 70% of their value within 3 years, compared to 40 to 50% for Japanese competitors. Because of reliability concerns, the market correctly priced in the risk of expensive repairs and maintenance. This depreciation further undermined the value proposition. Why pay premium prices for a motorcycle that will lose most of its value while potentially requiring thousands in repairs? Financial instability followed predictably. Ducati underwent multiple ownership changes. Texas Pacific Group in 1996, a public offering in 1998, and Invest Industrial in 2005, as investors struggled with the fundamental profitability challenges of the business model. Each new owner promised stability while facing the same underlying problems: high production costs, limited scale, and a reputation for unreliability that capped market potential. Global market share continued declining, dropping below 1% as customers chose reliable alternatives over Italian engineering romance. Even in premium segments, BMW Motorrad steadily gained ground by offering European prestige with German reliability. The Japanese manufacturers continued improving their high-performance offerings, narrowing the performance gap while maintaining their reliability advantage. Dealer defections accelerated the decline. Authorized dealers switched to other brands or closed entirely due to warranty claims, customer complaints, and limited profit margins. The dealer network contracted precisely when Ducati needed market expansion, creating a negative feedback loop where reduced distribution led to reduced sales, which further pressured the remaining dealers. What began as a brilliant marketing strategy based on racing success had exposed Ducati's fundamental weakness: the inability to translate racing engineering into reliable street motorcycles at scale. The company had won countless races while losing the larger market battle. The consequences were not just financial, but reputational. The damage would take years to repair. So what exactly went wrong? It came down to three critical strategic mistakes that undermined Ducati's long-term viability, despite their racing success. First, Ducati confused racing success with customer satisfaction. They operated under the assumption that winning championships would automatically translate to market success, regardless of reliability issues. This fundamental misalignment ignored a basic truth. Race teams had full-time technicians, unlimited budgets, and bikes rebuilt after every event. Regular customers had none of those resources, and they still expected their motorcycles to function reliably for thousands of miles. Racing success created initial interest, but it could not overcome the negative word of mouth from frustrated owners. Second, they prioritized engineering complexity over practical reliability. The desmodromic valve system that defined Ducati's engineering philosophy was brilliant on paper and performed exceptionally on racetracks. Yet it created maintenance nightmares for owners, requiring specialized service at short intervals. Similarly, dry clutches, underseat exhausts, and proprietary electronics impressed journalists on test rides, but generated countless headaches during actual ownership. Engineering elegance had trumped practical considerations. Third, they ignored the total cost of ownership equation. Ducati's premium pricing required a premium ownership experience, but expensive maintenance destroyed the value proposition. When a standard valve adjustment cost $1,200 compared to under $300 for Japanese alternatives, the premium price became impossible to justify for most riders. These maintenance costs were not occasional outliers, but scheduled requirements, creating an ownership burden that pushed many enthusiasts toward more practical alternatives. The market reality provided a harsh lesson. Japanese manufacturers had proven that reliability, affordability, and performance could coexist. Customers did not have to choose between passion and practicality. Honda's CBR series, Yamaha's R1, and Kawasaki's ZX-10R delivered blistering performance with bulletproof reliability and reasonable maintenance costs. The forced choice between character and dependability was revealed as a false dichotomy. The 2012 sale to Audi for $1.2 billion represented both rescue and admission that independent Ducati could not solve its fundamental business model problems. Audi brought German engineering discipline, quality control systems, and financial stability. The acquisition acknowledged what many industry observers had long recognized. Ducati needed fundamental operational change, not just marketing adjustments. Under Audi's ownership, Ducati has addressed many reliability issues while maintaining their performance heritage. Modern models, like the Panigale V4 and Multistrada V4, incorporate reliability improvements unimaginable in earlier generations. The maintenance intervals have extended significantly, with valve service now required at 36,000 miles, rather than 6,000 miles on some models. Yet the brand still commands premium prices and maintains its performance identity, suggesting that reliability and character were never mutually exclusive. The Ducati story ultimately reveals that engineering romance alone cannot sustain a motorcycle company in a modern market where consumers expect both performance and reliability. Racing success creates desire, but reliability creates loyalty. The lesson was not that Ducati's racing focus was wrong, but that it could not substitute for fundamental product quality. Excellence on Sunday needed to be matched by dependability Monday through Saturday. Ducati's journey from racing icon to reliability cautionary tale reveals a stark truth about modern luxury, heritage, and performance cannot outrun reliability problems forever. The brand's turnaround under Audi proves what was always possible: Italian passion paired with engineering discipline. Does this shift signal the end of character brands or just a new expectation that premium prices demand premium experiences? Comment below with your take. Subscribe now for more deep dives into the brands reshaping our world.